afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our second Cultural Ambassador video. And we are here with Yohance Henley, who is all the way in Arizona. Welcome, Yohance. How are you?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm fine. Just happy and honored to be here.
Can you give us a brief intro? It's about who Yohance is. We're going to ask you some questions, but, tell us a little about yourself.
All right, cool. Of course, my name is Yohance Henley.
I was saying it wrong. Yohance. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Yohance.
All my professors through college call me Yohance, so it's
okay.
Fine. But okay, so I am a master storyteller and recently been an author. I would say recently because I've only been an author for about 2 years now. I have 2 books underneath me so far. I've told stories in some of the most intense audiences because when it comes to kids, they're very, very extreme. So yeah. So they're very straightforward. They're way more honest than adults. So you get exactly what you get exactly whatever you did. So,
right.
It's pretty.
And probably what you put off too, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you come out and you're not hot, they tell you that story was they tell you.
Oh wow.
And when you're good, you know you're good because they ask you to tell it again. They want to give you hugs, they want to give you high fives, they have another question. So yeah, I've told stories in the BVI, I've told stories in Florida, I've told stories of course, all across the Virgin Islands in terms of St. John, St. Thomas, and St. Croix. Told stories for schools, weddings, baby showers. One of my next accolades that I have is passing on the trade. As my mentor always told me, Glenn Kwabena Davis is my mentor. Probably the best storyteller I've ever witnessed to tell stories, regardless of what he says. He is the best, like in our world of cultural storytelling, So, he always urged me to pass the trade along the same way how I got it. Pass the skill along. So one of the many great things that I've done for my community is pass the trade along to a number of storytellers back on the island while I was at cultural education with Dr. Valrika Bryson.
Right.
We did a storytelling academy in which we were able to gain about 6 storytellers and 4 of which are current constant storytellers, consistent storytellers right now. So it was a good impact in terms of having 3 storytellers on the island to now having I could say at least 7 to 6. So
wow.
It's a dying art.
Congratulations.
Right?
Right.
It's to us.
I'm seeing a storytelling workshop at the museum in the future. I don't know.
Very.
Awesome. So tell me what your introduction to storytelling was. I mean, you talk about Kwabena, and how did you even get into that though? What made you interested? Who made you interested? Was it him that introduced you to storytelling?
Oh yeah, no, I was never interested in storytelling.
Okay, that's an interesting twist. Tell me about
exactly.
that.
It was very interesting actually. I was not interested in storytelling. I liked it because I liked Kwabena and some of the other storytellers told stories, but what happened was my senior year in high school, I wasn't doing much. Of course, I was playing sports, All-Star. We had just lost to West, so not West, but we had just lost to St. Croix. So being that we lost to St. Croix, we couldn't travel, so he wasn't really doing it. And he saw me a few times, and he kept saying, you should come and storytell with me. But a backstory to that is that in my senior year in school, he did a workshop in our school, and I was a class clown. So, and I was failing the class, and I was told that if you do good in this workshop, you're gonna get some extra credit points. And I don't have to do no work, and I don't get extra credit points. So, I picked up The script, he had us reading the script inside of the class. Some of the kids, of course, cool kids want to act like they're too cool to tell a story, but I was a class clown, so I just went with it, and everybody was like,
Right.
as usual. And from that day, every time he would see me, he would ask me, when you gonna come and tell some stories with me? When you gonna come and tell some stories? Nobody can't tell no stories with you. Nobody gonna to talk to people. No, 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 no. Now, then
Right.
summer I wasn't doing much, and he saw me and he said, "I see your hair. You tell some stories." And I say, like, no, I ain't too interested. And that's when he said, "But you have a job right now?" I said, "No, I ain't have a job. I am looking for a job." And he said, "What, you can make $100 an hour?" I said, "What? No, man. You play on me?" And yeah, man, come. So then, of course, I went with him. We went down to cultural education that Saturday, and that whole Saturday I was just studying stories with him. He was giving
Mm.
story. I had to go in the room, I had to read it, I had to memorize, I had to come back, I had to tell it to him. He sent me back again, I had to do the same thing. He sent me back again, I had to do the same thing. He sent me back with a new story, I had to do the same thing, and then I had to tell that story. Then he gave me a new one, and he just keeps sending me back and forth. So he was like forcing me to either memorize the stories or keep them in my mind, like just get.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went to my story, and the feedback I got from the audience, more so the kids, it was just remarkable because it was like a sense of being a role model and people looking at you in a different light than what you
Right.
normally would get in terms of
Yeah.
being a young black male, and
Yeah. And so that's interesting because you went from what sounded like a jock to being a storyteller.
yeah, pretty much.
And so at that time when you were being the class clown, how did people look at storytelling? Was that like something lame? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't seem to. Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Everybody was like, this don't make no sense. Like what you doing? You like even up to my friends when I was in college. When I was
Hmm.
in college, and they like, I telling them I had to tell stories and I get paid for it, and they laughing at me like, people actually pay you for that? Like you go down the
Right.
field,
Right.
and then eventually they witness it for themselves and they see that they say, oh, okay, so I see why you to get paid. You almost like a stand-up comedian for children, basically.
Okay, I dig it. So your first storytelling experience was by chance in school and being a class clown. What was your first experience as an actual storyteller, as someone who's been, working with Glenn and feeling a little more confident? When did you do that for the first time?
Um, it was a while back. I think about 7, 8 years. Kind of crazy. And
Oh wow.
it was at National Guard. They had like a campfire,
Mm.
a bunch of kids and stuff. I think Ms.
Ooh.
Petty is who organized it, and that's where I told my first story in front of a group,
Wow.
and I was scared. I was so scared. I got to it, and it was remarkable. Yeah, it's definitely, I could never forget the first time I tell a story. It was there.
Oh wow. So
'Cause,
you sound kind of like a Nancy Lee, a little mischievous self. So were you, I mean, like, how did you think of the stories? Were you like, oh Lord, Yohance Henley?
ah,
How did you come up with those stories you wrote for your Anansi stories? Because Anansi is something we've always heard of, and there are stories that have been here forever. And when I was like, wait, he wrote his own Anansi stories? Like that was so cool to me. Tell us about that.
so my stories are stuff that took place in my life, actually.
See,
Different.
I knew it.
Nothing. You can. I think that's the biggest thing when a writer's period. You can't write about
Yeah.
anything you've never seen, experienced, or vicariously lived through someone else's experience.
Mm-hmm.
You have to feel it in order for you to be able to deliver it to people the way how.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Wow.
it was definitely a relationship that took place with one of my family members and myself.
So because you took us back to when you accidentally got into storytelling. When you did start to pick it up, was Virgin Islands culture something that you brought as in, oh, this is important, so I should do it? Or were you just telling stories at the beginning, like because Glenn was making sure you were engaged? Was that something you had in your mind when you were young and learning how to do this craft?
Yeah. I could tell you exactly how it went. I could tell you exactly how it went. It went like this. It went, my motive for even stepping in the room or accepting the offer to tell stories was the money at first.
Mm-hmm.
After the first two storytells, I was like, it had like a small gap. I would say like a 2 week gap, and I was messaging him like, when the next one gonna be? And he like, well, I had one lined up for you, but they didn't want to pay. I said, no, let's do it. Let's do it. He said, you sure? You're like, yeah, man, let's go. Like, let's do it. So then it went from money to just the love, like that appreciation, that validation that I was getting from not because I could have, it wasn't, I didn't care about what the adults had. They were the kids. Because I know if they tell me they are like it, they are like it. They ain't gonna tell me, they ain't trying to, protect my feelings. They don't care about my feelings. So I know if they didn't like it, they were saying they had like it. So I know it was pure, it was honest, it was actual skill. And then it went on to not worrying about the cultural aspect, why I was teaching these students and these children, because I even used storytelling while I was coaching my football players in how to get them to understand what I'm trying to do. I literally do practices where I created a story before I came and explained the story to them, and they understood exactly the meaning of either the play or the objective for the game coming up. And a lot of them don't remember it because it was like, you have to yeah, it was pretty funny, but I wasn't getting through to them. We had laughed before and they wasn't listening to me speaking like a coach and saying regular stuff. So I just tell them like, yo, just come to the field, don't bring no gear, just come to the field, have some stories to tell you. Tell them the stories, and they were like, okay, so basically this is what we have to do, this is what you're telling us to do. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you guys. So and after that I realized this is more than just a cultural thing. This is an actual tool I could teach and will teach.
It almost sounds like a language, how you described it.
Yeah.
Like you weren't getting the language I was saying. So here's how I should, talk to you. That's, you sound like an elder. Come back to us. Yeah, wow, that is really amazing. That's amazing. And that's the mark of a good teacher too. You could spew everything from the book, but unless you're actually reaching who you're trying to teach, like what you're not really teaching.
Yes.
I would love to hear that football story one day.
Yeah.
Maybe we can have one of them tell us a story that you told.
Yeah, probably. Most of them, they just did see me and they'd be like, hey, remember when you tell us about Tambo the Rasta man? That's what it is.
You talked about continuing to pass this tradition down. Do you tell stories to your daughter, or does she ever show interest in it, or?
Yeah,
No, not yet. Okay, that's okay.
I did try to tell her stories, but she's a boss, man. She was like, hey, Daddy, I don't want to play with you right now. That's what she told me. I started to tell her stories, but she's like, no, thank you. And leave me right there with my ears. I go about your business with her.
Well, there you go. I mean, how old were you? Like 16 or so when you got into it?
Yeah, I was like 16, 17, so.
Okay. So she's got some time. She's got some time.
Yes.
Once she see Daddy doing a thing and understand, she'll be like, maybe I could do that.
Exactly.
We'll see. But I've seen in your Instagram story, she might be a doctor. So maybe she'll be a doctor who can tell stories. We'll see what happens. Thank you everyone for joining us. This is again Yohance Henley, Virgin Islander, storyteller, author, Dad. He's so many things. Hopefully, we'll see you guys again for our next cultural ambassador video. And in the meantime, look out for Yohance's animated stories and be sure to visit our website, vichildrensmuseum.org. We're also on Facebook and look out for that. Bye, everyone. Thank you.